Hello, this is Faithful to Race Across the World, where we are discussing Series 5, Episode 4. Pause for the music. Welcome. I am Ben, your host.
Hello. Oh gosh, you're doing it properly. Look at you. You've even thrown your name out straight.
What did
Hello.
you just say? Oh gosh. You mean golly gosh?
So, no, I mean bugger it. Yes, we're continuing that joke. Oh, I can see. Oh, he's hovering. He's hovering. Oh,
no, I was just adjusting the settings.
Hello, I'm Alex. Hello, welcome to the show. Well, we'll just get it out there straight away. If you want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Instagram or TikTok or Threads at Faithful2 Traitors. Sorry, Faithful2 Podcast. That's another podcast we'll be talking about. It's because I've got traitors on the brain since they've released the guest list of the celebrity
UK
traitors. Yes, we'll be talking about that soon. Blue Sky at faithful2podcast.bsky.social. You can find us on YouTube by searching at Faithful2Podcast or Faithful2 Race Across the World. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the bell and comment underneath. Spotify, you can watch and comment on there as well. Just search Faithful2 Podcast. Apple or any of your favourite podcast apps, you can listen to us on there. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review if you enjoy listening to the podcast. And if you'd like to help us on the podcast monetarily, you can buy us a ticket. I won't barter with you in the style of Brian. Not just
to
yet.
get a flight this week to Nepal.
We're going to have to fly to Nepal. We have to go over the Himalayas. There's no way.
Treacherous.
There's no way. There's not enough goats in the world that could have taken us with a sled.
Elizabeth and Letitia would not have been able to handle that road.
Do you think? Well, no, Finn and Shona would have had a lovely time. They would have held hands. They would have walked slowly over the snow. They would have got home, warmed themselves up a microwave dinner, and watched Family Fortunes on Challenge TV. Buy me a coffee.
Finn and Shona.
Buymeacoffee.com/faithful, where you can help donate to the show.
Yes, just like Ellen did. So they have said, so glad that you're covering Race Across the World. For me, it's up there with The Traitors. I love the show so much. I wish there was a longer version of the episodes, or maybe even a second show, since many popular shows have that now.
What, like
Ellen,
like a podcast.
We are the second show. Okay, there's no Ed Gamble.
Thankfully.
But I want it to be full of extra footage, not just Ed Gamble. For example, I'd love to know more about how Yin and Gaz fell so far behind Carolyn and Tom when they both seemed stuck in the same place. Love the podcast as always. I hope Charlie the cat, that's producer Charlie, isn't too annoyed that you're still doing them.
No, Charlie the cat's
he's
absolutely
given up.
fine.
He's just sleeping now.
Well, he retired. He's retired from his producer role. He does still have. He dips his paw into the show every now and then, but he has taken a step back, hasn't he? Because he's getting a bit old now. Yeah. He's right now having his third nap of the day, and he's
the morning. So.
Just like all old people. He sleeps in his chair 3 times a day. The sun's out. He's having a great time. Although he's finding the sun a bit too harsh, isn't he? He's not like the cat we used to know. He used to go out into the sun. He's lay there all day long. Now he finds a little shady spot and looks up and he's like...
What's this got to do with Ellen's comment?
None at all. Although I would say...
What would the extra show be called on BBC Three? Race Across the World. Extra baggage.
Probably.
Extra baggage.
Extra baggage. You've thought about that, haven't you?
Just comes so naturally to me.
Extra baggage. There you go. You've summed it up.
There you go, BBC. Year, what a couple contestant could host the next year, and it keeps changing every year. That's what they could do.
What? No.
So Brian and Melvin will do it next year.
Well, you could have them as like talking heads, but Brian and Melvin's doing the rounds on television. Have you not noticed? They're on Loose Women this week.
Not Loose Men.
No, not Loose Men or Women. No, Loose Women.
Oh.
They're on Loose Women. There's a lovely programme of Brian with Colleen Nolan.
Lucky him.
You can barely see Colleen because...
Was this what he did when he met Colleen? That's right, everyone. Brian's now open to an OnlyFans, and that's a little sneak peak. Of
Brian XXX, Brian Extra Baggage,
Brian's extra baggage.
He's got a load to dump, and he's not afraid to show it. Brian and Melvin seem to be the ones who promote the show all the time. Do you reckon?
No, Tom and Carolyn talked to Gethin on Morning Live.
That was the week before. That's old news. Tom and Caroline, I've given up with them. I don't care about them anymore. Boo, Tom and Caroline.
Have you seen the editors did them really dirty, by the way? Because this is what they broadcast, which is fake.
Holy shit.
Tom doesn't say.
Holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
This is what is actually was meant to be broadcast.
Golly gosh.
So I feel like the producers are messing around here because why have they done him dirty like that?
Play that again.
Sorry?
Play that again.
Well, the actual footage, the found footage.
First of all, play the footage that they broadcast, and then
Right.
play the footage that were basically what they edited.
Okay, well, this is what the BBC,
This is what the BBC
Studio
aired.
Lambert aired. Fake.
Holy shit.
Right, that's fake. You can tell by the shit. It's a different word. It's not
Too
the same
common.
voice. Yes, not the same voice.
And this is the actual footage which I've been able to
Found on
uncover.
X, I take it.
Holy golly gosh.
So I don't know what they're trying to portray Tom
I leave
as.
the room for 5 minutes.
What?
5 minutes I leave the room. I go off to do a little chore before we start recording.
Right.
And this is what you get up to.
Well, this is what the people want. The truth. I found it on Truth Social.
I thought it was X, which is
No,
one step down, but
no,
no, Truth Central.
no.
Of course it would be on Truth Central.
So yeah, the editors are doing Tom dirty there, making him sound
dare
like
they?
he swears.
Why are they trying to make us think that Tom is this foul-mouthed young individual? Because we know he's not. We love Tom.
No.
And if Tom had said that, Caroline would have washed his mouth out with a big bar of soap.
She would have. Right. So
I tell you
shall we
who
talk?
did need soap on this episode, and that was Brian. Because Brian and
He
Melvin...
had quite the journey, Brian, this episode, didn't he?
Brian and Melvin literally took up pretty much all the episode, like an episode of Loose Women with Caroline. With
Brian and
Caroline.
Melvin gone fishing, I tell you.
It's a
written
show
in
in
the stars.
itself. They decided to do a homestead. They're first. They had to fly. Well, first of all, they were all told they can't walk over the Himalayas, as we know. They had to fly
Too
over the
treacherous.
Himalayas. Too much. Too much. Not even Finn and Shona thought we can't do that. We walk every day. We can't do that. I was going to say something about Finn's thighs then, but I decided to stop myself.
He clearly plays rugby. Although Tom also plays rugby.
Tom plays rugby.
They all play rugby.
I mean, is there a Welsh man or woman in the world that doesn't play rugby? I think all the
Well, I've
Welsh
not
play
met
rugby,
them.
don't they?
And they all live
And
in the same
I
village.
don't think that's an awful thing to say. I think the Welsh would be quite proud of themselves. They're good rugby players.
Good legs.
Good legs.
Anyway, carry on.
Got firm legs. It's
Right.
firm legs for walking over those valleys.
Yes.
Brian and Mel flew over the Himalayas, as did everyone else, but Brian and Mel did it first. Okay, right, fine. And they had to bargain their way to go to their first homestead. So this was the first hilarious moment of the episode where Brian had to...
The businessman.
The businessman, the negotiator...
The money man.
Millions of pounds has traded in his businesses.
Between
Like,
his golf clubs.
um,
Deals on the pitch.
deals on the pitch while they're swinging those clubs. And
Old working man Melvin in the background.
Melvin was like, I can't deal with these high end deals.
Negotiation
I'm not going. I'm
skills.
just going to leave it for the man who knows better. So Brian, straight up taxi driver. How much taxi? 1,400 rupees. 1,400. How about 1,000?
I shouted to you. I was like, no haggle. Come on now.
Yeah.
Because
You
you're
did.
day 26 or whatever you're in now. You can haggle.
Although they have a very healthy budget, let's just say.
Well, they did.
Yeah, well, until Brian came along, he's haggled. Brian said 1,000. No, can't do that.
Impossible.
1,500. 1,500.
Yes.
The guy was like,
The
of
guy was
course.
like, okay. Compare that to what Elizabeth and Letitia did. Pretty much the same trick, because they had to go back to where they started and then get a big taxi, which was like
Yes.
a 10-hour taxi. They haggled it for 1,700 and theirs was like 10 hours long. So, Brian, I think you've been done there. By the
Do
way.
you think? Poor old Brian.
Speaking of money,
Yes.
last week Letitia and Elizabeth were haggling with that man on the train. Remember, he looked really happy with what he did for £40.
Yeah, we were wondering how he said, "Hang on a minute," walked off, came back with a bundle of money.
And he looked very pleased with himself. Well,
Yes.
the Easy Breezy on YouTube has said, I have looked it up, and the man on the train gave the sisters 350 yen for £40. The current exchange rate for 350 yen is actually 36.35. So he made a profit of 35 yen. So that's why he was so happy.
Good for him.
Now we
But
know.
as we said,
The
at
more
the
you know,
time,
this is what you get on Race Around the World. Well, Race Across the World, extra baggage.
yes, this kind of stats, this information, this is what the BBC need. This is what the BBC want. And no, you had to gamble.
Holy shit.
Yep, that's the wrong edit.
The BBC have contacted me. They've given me a cease and desist
They played the wrong edit.
alongside
They played the wrong
Caroline's
edit.
husband.
Well, I mean, Look, everyone got a good deal out of that in the end. So that's what we said at the time, didn't we? We said Letitia and Elizabeth got their money and that guy got a little bit of profit. So it was all good.
Yes.
However, right, Brian and Mel made it to their homestead. They made it to the farm. They had to muck out some cows, some bulls.
And peeps.
and
Pigs.
some peeps.
Also, they did this wrong because they got the homestead and then they had to work in the morning. They should have worked, then homestead, then left.
Well, you quite aggressively, you saying that you shouted out of the TV, haggle Brian. You
Yes.
also shouted out of the TV, just leave. When they came, so they had the overnight stay. They got
the British
fed.
way.
They got fed. You would have learned, like, just leave.
Exactly. So you should work first, then stay, because they had to muck out
Bull.
shit and urine and all sorts, and then they had to go travelling.
They had to muck out golly gosh and all sorts. Thank you.
So they would have stank the whole time as well. So
It was only their hands.
yes, but when you're travelling for 26 days,
I mean, I
a
wouldn't.
little bit of stink is going to go a long way. So they should have done it the other way round. Always do the work first, then rest, then shower, then travel.
Yeah, but they still
Not-
have to wear the same clothes. They wouldn't be able to wash them overnight.
Well, Brian had it in his fingernails, embedded deep. Because I think the man was being a bit mean to poor Brian. Oh, Brian, our friend.
Oh, mate.
Because Melvin
Coney
had
Nolan's
a bit on the
confident.
side. First OnlyFans video, exclusive.
Coney Nolan and Brian, you've heard it here first.
Because
Extra
Melvin
package.
got given a spade to get the pig shit up, the pig golly gosh up.
The pig golly gosh.
But Brian was told to use his bare hands with no gloves.
For the bull golly gosh. Yeah, well, that's because it was bigger golly gosh.
They could have had a spade.
Melvin had a little bit of golly gosh, and so it's a bit like when I do the catlet, when I do producer Charlie's golly gosh tray.
Right, stop.
He has to. You can use a scoop for that. I wouldn't use my hands for it, would I? Because
No.
it's too small. Well, the pig stuff, that's
The
quite
bull
heavy.
stuff.
That's about as big as Brian's own head. I mean, you couldn't use a scoop. There's no
You
scoop big
could.
enough to do it. So
I
he had to use
could.
his hands.
No.
It did look gross, to be
He
fair. It
really
made me
had to
feel
like
really
build
unwell.
himself up to do it as well. Like he was walking around in circles inside the thing, like he was about to do a poo, thinking like I can't do it, have to do it. He's not a quitter though. Melvin said he never says no. He knows he doesn't want to do something.
As we saw also on the higher wire, because Melvin was like, clip me on. That did make me laugh, actually, to be fair. Brian's quite dry with his humour, I must say. And like the way he said, like, it's just a bike turned upside down.
And it was.
And it was. But it did,
Also, the steering wheel was a wheel.
it was a tyre, yeah.
So-
The bus was a tyre.
and there were bullet holes in the windscreen. So there
didn't
is
spot
there is
that.
stuff to be concerned
Are you
about.
sure they weren't... I don't want to accuse a country of being like war torn or anything like that. So to say bullet holes sounds like they're like some kind of like war zone there. Do you
Well, I
not
don't
think
know.
it might just be
I
the
don't know where the
grit?
bus came from.
Yeah, but do you not just think because the roads haven't been like
Oh,
tarmac?
yeah, maybe.
Like in the UK, like the issue of potholes is nothing compared to Nepal and Italy and India. To be fair, but we probably make the biggest fuss about it because they just get on with it. You know, MOTs are a thing that clearly is not a thing that happens out there.
No, clearly, because someone has a tyre for a
A
steering
tyre
wheel.
for a steering wheel, yeah.
Which hasn't got much grip on it by the looks of it because it's very shiny plastic in the middle. So-
They painted it nice colours though.
did.
I spotted that. It did look like
and everyone survived, so what's the problem?
Exactly. At the end of the day, if no one's dead, why complain? That's my motto in life. If you've not died, why moan about it?
So yeah, Brian had quite the adventure where he then had to go on the zip wire. Again, didn't want to do it. More Melvin's thing, but he did it.
It was very much a Melvin leg this time.
And we
I
learned
think.
more about their mother.
Yes.
We keep learning more
I'm
about
fascinated by their mum.
everything.
I am fascinated.
Was she Margaret Thatcher? Is the question.
Possibly. She was
I
a hard
mean,
woman. A hard
there-
woman.
there were lots
quote.
of-
She should never have had children. Quote.
I was going to say before you were joking about that, I was going to say there's lots of like serious topics in this episode, but that's not going to stop us
No.
because all serious topics can be made fun of.
Not made fun of.
No, but-
Gently prodded.
Yeah.
And
So
contorted
Tom,
into
watch
a
out
funny
in a
way.
minute.
No, we must not.
And finish your own ad. Watch out in a minute. But yeah, it did make me laugh. Like he literally said she was a woman who maybe shouldn't have had children.
Shouldn't have had children.
I was like, yeah, I know lots of women like that.
They also briefly mentioned their dad, who they have they've indicated is the softer parent.
The
but-
Melvin of the two.
the Melvin of the two. But,
Brian is the mum.
but even then, they kind of both said, like, you know, if we told our dad, if they were still alive and we told our dad that we were doing this, the dad would say, like, that's a stupid idea.
Yeah. Yeah, look up from his cap on a leather sofa somewhere.
with his newspaper,
and a cigar.
horse racing on the TV. That literally is my granddad. My granddad was like that. He used to sit on his wooden chair. He would only sit in his wooden chair, cigar, puff, puff, puff. The whole room would be full of cigar smoke. And you just sit there as a grand. Look, secondary smoke was nothing to an 8-year-old child like me, and they just sat there going, "Cheers, Granddad." Great. No, she was a hard woman. I'm fascinated by their mum. I want them to show a picture.
We need
of her.
them to do.
Be a woman with a rolling pin and a really stern face. Like,
We need them to be on Who Do You Think You Are? Is that what it's called? With Davina McCall? Where
not
was
with
it
Davina McCall. Is it?
I don't know.
Oh
Emma
no,
Willis?
Long Lost Family is.
Well, they're
Davina
all the
McCall.
same. There's like 10 different shows which are all the same, where you look at your family.
Yeah, but I don't think
background.
they can reunite the family unless they find
No,
a way
not
of
reunite.
bringing
When they
back
do
people
the
from
family
dead.
tree.
Well,
That
that's
one.
Who Do You Think You Are?
Well,
but
that's what I said.
Yeah, but that Davina McCall doesn't host that.
She does.
No,
Doesn't
she
she?
doesn't. She hosts Long Lost Family.
Well, who hosts Who Do You Think You Are?
No one does. It's just a narrator.
Really?
Yes.
I have never watched it.
They go. No, I've never watched it either, but I know that for a fact. I know two things about Who Do You
22
Think You Are.
series. Gosh.
Yeah, it's quite popular. I know two things. One is that Danny Dyer is related to the royal family somehow, and two, that the Jerry Springer episode of Who Do You Think You Are is apparently an excellent episode because you find out a lot about his Jewish
Yeah,
roots.
it's just narrated by different people. 4 different people have narrated it.
Good.
But anyway, Melvin and Brian, that's your next thing to do, please.
Who Do You Think You Are, Brian and Melvin? Guest star Colleen Nolan from OnlyFans fame.
Right, so should we go on to who's in second place? Tom and
Tom.
Carolyn.
Well, let's first bring up that Tom and Caroline, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd. They
Next week.
are raking. They're doing so well.
Next week first.
Next week first, then,
And then
2nd, 3rd, 4th.
How many
5th.
more episodes are there? There's 5, 6,
7,
7,
isn't it?
8. Is it 8 or 9? Well, it's
Oh,
8 and
8.
then reunion.
Oh yeah, the reunion.
So they're
episode.
going to go first, second. So they're going to go back to 4th again by the end.
Who do you think on the reunion episode is going to be the one that like just mixes it up a little bit and starts like throwing accusations to everyone for why they didn't win?
Shoned, because she's being destroyed. She's been altered.
Shoned, like when you go into the army, has been built down to be built back up again by
Yes.
Finn at some point. Finn's facial expressions is that of a cartoon character, by the way. Like every episode, there's a facial expression he makes. What was the one he did this
He
time?
cannot hide his emotions.
No.
Well, when he was... Well, okay, we'll talk about them then. Finn and Shoned.
Okay, we'll talk about Finn and Shoned third. Well, we don't know that actually for a fact.
No.
We just know that they're not there
Yeah,
yet.
because they had to go to a hostel, which he'd never been in a hostel before.
That was a
And he had to share it with people.
shell-shocked, wasn't he?
Share it with other people. They were in a busy country. They don't like noise. They don't like drinking. They don't like socializing. They like each other. They like the
They
mountains.
like each other.
Yeah.
Obviously, they don't like each other.
No. Well, Shoned likes Finn. Shoned, questionable. I'm joking.
No, I know what you're getting at because the last episode when Shoned was like, "I can't wait to get married to you," and Finn was like, "Not
We'll
sure."
see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we'll carry on.
We've been together 60 years. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
That's what they'll be like when they're OAPs.
Do you reckon they'll never marry?
They'll be engaged.
People have said
Long
before,
engagement.
People have said before that like people have had these long relationships. A friend of mine's parents had this really long relationship. They've been together for 30, 40 years. They decided to get married, possibly for tax reasons. And literally a year later, they divorced. It was like
happens a
marriage
lot.
does something to people.
It happens a lot. So, watch out.
Well, you don't want to get married.
Exactly. I'm like Finn.
You are like Finn. There's me, I'm Shoned.
No, I love Finn and Shoned have gone up in my. I don't have favourites on the shows we know,
Oh, I like Finn and Shoned from the
but
start.
they have gone up. I've liked them more and more. In this episode, I really connected with them.
But they connected to you because they are you, basically. So they said that like, we're
Merged into
18.
one.
They are basically. If Finn and Shoned like had a love child, you would be it. You'd come out like still full of hair on your
But
face.
Welsh,
Yeah, but not necessarily.
bigger thighs. Welsh thighs is what I'm talking about.
Oh, right. Yeah, no, Finn and Shoned, like they're 16, they're 18, 19-year-olds, but they're not your typical 18, 19-year-olds. They don't like going out. They don't like drinking. They like to go for walks.
They like
And-
the quiet.
They like the quiet, and Shoned gets very overwhelmed by a lot of things happening around her all at once. Again, relatable, to be fair. I feel the same way.
I also love when they're working at the bar, and this is just Finn has been doing this the whole time. When she was busy like making a drink, and he was just stood behind her, and he was like, Shoned, there's a customer there." It's like, yes, Finn, there is a customer there. Why don't you serve them? No. Shoned, you serve them, please.
Finn was middle management in this situation. He knew that he had to pass on the responsibility to one of his lower
Born to be a
employers.
manager, half Finn.
No, middle management. Finn is born to be middle manager and never go any higher. This fits in with Shoned's future life. So Finn will always be in a job for 35 years, not quite making it to the top, but never at the base. Middle management, coasting his way through it, because that's all Finn wants. An easy life, 9 to 5. Don't blame him.
That's what we all crave for.
And last episode, I joked and said that Shoned wants a part-time job at a leisure centre while bringing up the kids so she can get home for them to come home from school. Her job is at a leisure centre.
Same thing every day. It's what she likes.
She wants it. Routine.
It's what we like. But this is going to break her, as we know, as the series goes on, and she will be a changed woman by the final.
I hope so, because it was worrying me the way that she just...
Well, I don't blame her,
breakdown
because
twice.
India just seeing the clips of it, I wouldn't be able to cope with any of that. So I know exactly what they're both going through, especially Shoned, and I understand because it just looks chaotic, noisy. Everyone I know who's went travelling there have come back and said, "Oh, it is amazing, but
It's a bit chaotic.
It's
busy.
everything is just different. And
There's a lot of
weird.
people there.
Yeah, I'd hate it, and I hate the roads. I hate all the mopeds. Too many people. There's
The cows.
They scared Caroline.
Caroline and Tom went
Mrs.
down a dark alleyway.
Mrs. owns all the animals in the world.
One cow walks in front of her. She's like, "Oh!" Tom's like, "Just go quiet." I love the way Tom gave advice. He was like, "Just quietly walk around it. Don't talk to it. Don't look at it directly in the eye."
Bad advice. He was like, "Go behind." It's like, no, you should never go behind.
Never
Someone
go
who's
behind.
been brought up with horses, you should know that.
Not rural at all.
They'll be bucking you
He's
before
been
you
kicked
know
in the
it.
head by a few horses, hasn't he? But then they walked down a dark alleyway, Tom and Caroline, didn't they? And then there was loads of feral dogs like looking at them like
barking
"Arr."
at them.
And they're like, "Oh, maybe we've taken a wrong turn." Yeah, no, bless. It's funny how like the contrasting, like Finn and Shoned are like literally in the middle of the street, just broken down, crying, and then there's Tom on the tuk going, "All right, bruv, yeah, hello, all right, bruv," like fist pumping,
Having way over time.
having a great time.
They did
Tom
good.
and Caroline.
Thanks to Caroline, I feel. Sorry, Tom, but thanks to Caroline's plan of action.
Caroline, like always anxious. Caroline, always worrying, always on the hook.
Relatable.
Exactly. So she's anxious. She wants to do well in the race, but
That's
at
what
the same
Shoned
time,
needs to channel. Anxiousness
maybe
in a
Caroline
good way.
and Shoned should do a bit of meditation, like Tom and Caroline did earlier in the episode.
It's
That'd
another
be good.
spin off the BBC Commission.
I love that Caroline literally was in the.
Is this how I do it, darling?
This wasn't her first rodeo. Caroline sat in the corner on many other like a parent that gets angry with their
Meditating,
child
but with a cigarette hanging out.
and a glass of wine. Yeah,
Yeah, she meditates with 2 glasses of wine.
well, it's the balance, isn't it? Like the scales.
Red
they
and
need-
white.
they need to be, so if she takes a sip from the red, she has to take a sip from the white at the same time. And there's a rosé for emergency, just in case.
But her plan of action was very good because Tom wanted to see a bit of the world of life of
Yes.
Nepal. So she was like, right, we'll have one night homestay paid for, and then we'll race.
Perfect.
And it worked well because they caught up with Brian and Melvin. They caught up like 20 hours.
Then they did an overnight on a bus, which was hilarious
I
because
don't think we're going to get much sleep.
Caroline,
If it carries on like this,
again, to quote Caroline, they're coming around with sick bags.
for me.
Yes. Like, she just takes the whole load from them. Oh,
Bless her.
Caroline. She's so
Culture
sweet.
shock, but it's going on. But we learned
Yeah,
more.
but they're embracing it more, if you know what I mean. And that's not meant unfairly. Like Finn and Shoned, I'm sure they're trying their
They're
best.
embracing it. Finn said, I have to get used to this hostel situation.
Their Savari, they were having a whale of a time as well. Finn was questioning
£50, which may not have been the best.
Well, their
But
budget
still.
is the lowest as well. They're under 50% now.
Well,
They're
not surprised. They're on safari.
And they were staying at funky hotels as well. Fancy hotels
Yes,
as well.
this is the first time they've done that.
They've done a
Not a hotel.
Yeah.
Not a 5-star. The first time.
But the fact
Week
that
3.
Finn was questioning how monkeys stay on trees, I thought that was good.
Yes.
Monkeys stay on
That
trees.
can't be comfortable.
Scared of an insect?
Oh my god, what's that?
Oh,
A small
it's an ad.
He said. Then the man was like, literally, he's like, a small insect as well. Finn, a small insect.
That didn't knock Finn into confidence whatsoever. Finn was like, well, no, it was that big. You just know that when he got home, he's like when people go fishing and they said, how big was a fish? It was like, that big. He was like that. He's like, oh my God, there was an insect on me and it was that
Don't
big.
see them in the Welsh Valley.
And then the BBC came and aired him just screaming at a blooming fly.
But we did learn more about Tom this week.
Yes, back to Tom and Caroline. Sorry,
Yes.
Tom and Caroline. We keep jumping away from you this week. I don't mean to.
We learnt more because they had to do what first brought it up. It was eating with his hand.
Yes, so they were eating. Again, you shouted at the TV, that's disgusting.
Make me sound like such a racist.
Well, you are.
Brian's my dad.
No,
No,
don't accuse Brian. Just because he's
you accuse me.
Right,
no,
so
not racist. It's just that I just wouldn't be able to do
no,
it.
it's because, again, it's a culture shock. We're used to having utensils, a knife and a fork and a spoon.
Especially if I was picking up the ball shit at the beginning and
The
then
golly
eating.
gosh.
It's like, no. Like, doesn't that just it's not for me.
But that's
and
why-
they were using spoons, Brian and Melvin. Did you see that?
They did. So Tom and Caroline, I think, could have asked.
Well, they didn't want to.
They didn't want to. They
go
wanted
full
an
in.
embrace into it, exactly. But because Tom suffered, or suffers, as I suppose like you don't suffer from, cerebral palsy, his right hand doesn't quite connect to his mind. His mind.
Yeah, you can't, like,
his
manoeuvre it.
Mensa brain into quite so much as his left hand. And he discovered this when he went, again, only Tom and Caroline, for his birthday. He did a flight simulator.
Oh, No.
On his 7th birthday.
No. You know what the truth is?
Yes.
He said, I'd quite like to be a pilot, Mummy, when he was 7. She was like, oh, really? Swirling the brandy. Okay, next day, birthday.
Can we just say that we don't
open-
think Caroline's an alcoholic? We don't want to make that clear right now. Okay, sorry, Caroline. Apologies.
You're not an alcoholic when you're as posh as her.
No,
Um,
it's a lifestyle.
you open the French doors into the country, into your field. That you know, oh, darling, there's a plane there. Bought a plane. That's what she did. On a whim, just like that.
Was it in the good
Tom had a fun in the plane, realised he couldn't fly it, and then that was that.
in the Good Life? The neighbours, the well-to-do neighbours who live next door to the Goods. They, every time that Margot wanted to try a new hobby, she would buy everything for it. So when she wanted to learn pottery, so do you think it's the same situation?
Yes.
Tom was like, at 7 years old, I want to be a pilot. Caroline the next day had chartered a flight into their garden.
Yes. Yes. That's what happened.
So this is how Tom discovered then. So while he was flying his
the
plane
flight simulator.
in the flight simulator, flight simulator,
The gift from someone.
gifted.
$400 million plane gifted to Tom. He realised actually he cannot be a pilot because his right hand cerebral palsy thing. So that's
Yes.
where the whole thing started, when he was eating, so he had to eat with his left hand.
His left hand. So he's left-handed, dominant left hand. I did.
And he didn't want to insult anyone, and the woman was like, no, it's fine.
Don't you worry about it. It's absolutely fine. Not a problem at all. I don't know why. Again, please comment underneath or get in touch with us. Let us know at Faithful2 Podcast. Thank you for reminding myself that. Why exactly is it you have to eat from the right hand? And there is no deviation. Obviously, they made accommodations for Tom, but why is it always the right hand?
Don't know.
We
Probably
don't
because
know.
that's like in history, that's the one
The
you
dominant
use,
hand.
isn't it?
I mean, you know,
When Tom first started his story, when he was like, I have to use my right hand, because I thought, Caroline's, his parents have forced him, because he's left-handed, they're forcing him to write with his right hand, like the old, like the
Witch.
Victorian, like the Victorian days. I was like, well, where's this going?
Thomas, you are not a witch.
You use your right hand to whip your pencil and ink and quill. But no.
They go to the local lake and they've got this this thing with a large thing. They dip him into the water.
Yeah.
If you survive, Thomas, you're not a witch. If you drown, then I'm sorry, but you are.
For a split second, I thought that's where the story was going. I was like, what's happening here? But no, it wasn't that, thank God. But yeah, and then we also got more of it later when they did their job at the restaurant, and they had
Yes.
to put on the horrible gloves, which are impossible to put on
They're
anyway.
horrible gloves anyway. They're like the gloves you get from a petrol station. Like they're not useful.
They never go on.
They never go on, and also you can't do anything in them because they're too loose. If you had like the tight latex gloves, of course. But then Tom probably would have had trouble with that too.
Well, those type
Bless
of gloves
him.
are just crap anyway. So again, shouldn't feel bad, Tom, because I can't put those on either. So, and they always break, and then you get really sweaty. They have to take them off. They have to put them on again.
Also, to Tom's,
Not worth it.
To justify Tom's nervousness, like everyone was staring at him while he was doing it.
I know.
Like there was the
Producer,
guy,
sound man, cameraman.
Caroline was the worst.
Yes.
Come on, Thomas, get on with it.
Hand on her hips.
Have we got money to make? Go and meditate, okay?
So yeah, it was nice story. Nice to know more about them again. Very emotional.
We learnt a
but-
lot about all of them, to be fair. Elizabeth and Letitia, we learnt, had a bit of a hard time when they were younger because their parents lost their jobs and so had to sell their house. And that kind of made Letitia especially feel a bit detached and like she had no kind of security at home.
And she said it was a really different story for her sister because she's the older one, isn't she, Letitia?
Yes, so Elizabeth was able to get away from it. So presumably, as it happened, Elizabeth kind of thought, right, this is my opportunity to go and travel and see Italy. But Letitia was much younger, 15, 16, and so she had no kind of want to support herself with. And so where Elizabeth's confidence grew and she was able to be more open with her feelings and her emotions, Letitia kind of bottled hers up. And since then, Letitia's always been that way. And it was interesting when they went to the Buddhist monk temple. Dream.
The old tree.
Oh, the tree.
The tree. The old
Deku tree.
Yes.
Link found. Then Elizabeth was kind of like really embracing it, but Letitia was kind of like almost joking. Did you notice she kind of made a nervous joke about it the whole time? She's like, "Oh, it says here you need to open up." No, I'm not going to do that. And
I feel like we are missing a chunk of this story because of Letitia is quite. She's not ready, even like to the bits to camera. She's still not quite ready to actually say what's been going on. So I do feel like we're missing some of the story. So I'm like, I don't exactly know what's going on, because the way she said like, I think she said my father, and then she said Elizabeth had a different upbringing. So have they got different dads?
Oh, I didn't spot that.
I'm not sure. I might have got that completely wrong, but I didn't know if like that's why they had such a different upbringing. I really don't know. I don't know what's going on. So I feel like we need a bit more.
There's a lot more to learn from it.
And they keep hinting that Letitia is going to open up at some point, and then like the camera like focused on them at the end of their trip, and Elizabeth was like, right, so, and she was obviously not told, but probably the producers were like, have a chat, and like she was like, right, so how do you feel? She was like, yep, let's go. It's like, okay, so we're not quite there yet. And then to camera, Letitia was like, yeah, I'm not there to say it yet. So I don't know, there's more to come maybe.
To quote Letitia, she's far away from enlightenment. So
Aren't we all?
time will tell. I mean, again, they're strong together. They're falling behind a little bit, which is surprising me a little.
Very relaxed,
because they seemed the most, when the show started, they seemed the most competitive, and
Letitia was the one who was like, because she was speaking the other language, she was really good, wasn't she? Now now they've gone into Italy. Italy. That's what she was
I keep
before.
saying Italy as well.
India. Now they're going towards India. It seems to have changed things a bit. I think it's changed for all of them actually, apart from Brian and Melvin. India is going to hit them.
Well, this is it. This is when we were saying this before we started recording. That the funny thing is that the two leaders, which is Brian and Melvin and Tom and Caroline,
who'd have thought it?
Who'd have funked it? But also are the two that seem to be having, and this is no disrespect to Elizabeth, Letitia, Finn, and Shoned. They seem to be having the most fun. Do you see what I mean? So they're embracing it. They're having fun. They're doing what needs to be done to do the race, as in doing the homesteads, doing the work, racing.
Yeah, because their budget's better as well.
Both their budgets are better.
Yeah.
They both got the healthiest budget as well. Brian and Melvin and Tom and Caroline still have well over 50% of their budget, while Elizabeth and Letitia lost quite a lot on this one, and Finn and Shoned, well, when they started, they were at 48%, and I'm sure that's been knocked down further since.
Safari. So.
Well, and hotels. You were saying, so quick before, because I can see the time's running out, but quickly before, you were saying that you saw online that Finn, which I thought was a bit unfair, because of his diabetes.
Yes.
They don't give him like a special allowance for him to buy sugary snacks. Snacks. That has to be taken out of their budget. I think that's unfair, really.
I know a few people commenting, because he replied to a comment on TikTok, I think. And a few people were saying that seems a bit unfair that they had to factor that into their budget. So that's why they're so low.
He's always having a Coke. He's got a Coke in his hand. He should advertise Coca-Cola. Finn, there's a deal for you. Christ, £1 million. That would be enough. They can then go into hiding.
Yeah.
Shoned would love it.
That's the best outcome. So we ended it with Brian and Melvin first, Caroline, Tom second,
Upton second place,
up, and then we're not sure about Finn and Shoned and Elizabeth and Letitia, but both of them look a bit treacherous.
And we were a bit worried also that when they were showing their next time, they showed a great big section of Brian, Tom, Caroline, Melvin, Elizabeth, Letitia, and then nothing of Finn and Shoned. And we were both like, oh no.
Yeah, she's quit or something.
They've left the show, haven't they? But then at the end, they quickly showed a bit. But again, it was them both literally
panicking,
devastated. Like,
I hope they don't quit.
No, they shouldn't quit. I think
if they quit, will they bring back Yin and Gaz, do you think?
No, because it wouldn't be fair
to replace them.
It wouldn't be fair. But I was going to say, if Yin and Gaz, if you're watching or listening, shout out to you, and also send us a video message and let us know what exactly happened in the last day of when you were doing the. We can post a video message on the screen then, with your permission.
Right.
Or use your own social media to do it. But we're us. Why not? Anyway, so as always, if you want to get in touch with us, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads at Faithful2Podcast, on Blue Sky at Faithful2Podcast, or bsky.social. You can find us on YouTube at Faithful2Podcast. Just like, subscribe, ring the bell, and comment underneath the video if you enjoy listening to us. Go to Spotify, you can watch us on there as well, and comment underneath, or listen to us on Apple or your favourite podcast app. So give us a 5-star review if you like the podcast, and if you want to help the podcast monetarily, you can buy us a ticket by going to buymeacoffee.com/faithful. And I should mention that if you do buy us a ticket on buymeacoffee.com/faithful, you put a comment and attach it to buymeacoffee.com/faithful, you will automatically have that comment read out. It's an automatic readout by us.
Go. Just like Ellen had
Guarantee it.
earlier.
Just like Ellen had earlier. So buymeacoffee.com/faithful.
Lovely. So we will see you next week when we're fully in India next week, isn't it? That's it. So expect lots of tears.
Like Brian and Coley Nolan, he's fully in.
And expect lots of tears.
Exactly.
So we'll see you then. Goodbye.